Hello and welcome to this week's Halftime Talk. I'm honored to introduce our special guest this week, Mr. Roger Chia Kim Piow, who is the Chairman and Managing Director of the Rotary Group, which is one of Asia's biggest construction companies building storage tanks. And they have built 100 million barrels of storage tanks across the world, including here in the Middle East, in Fujairah, in Dubai, and in Saudi Arabia. They are a well-known firm that are doing amazing work for 25 plus years. And Roger himself has been in the industry for 50 years. So no better person to give us the pulse of what's happening in Asia storage today, 2 months, 3 months, depending where you stand, into this great COVID crisis. So welcome, Roger, and thank you for joining us on Halftime Talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
So Roger, we saw in the recent months, storage rates in Singapore jump some 25%, maybe even more. What's the situation now in Singapore and in the storage outlook for Asia?
Oh, it's a boom time for all the storage owners now, right? Because everywhere is over shortage of storage space. So even in that filters also to Indonesia, where some of our friends there, their tank were empty, but today they are full to the brim. So yeah, I think they're enjoying a very good time now. Besides that, all the vessels are also full of products. Yeah.
There was a lot of reporting in the last few weeks, even in Cushing, Oklahoma, that while all of the storage was booked, it wasn't full. It wasn't being utilized. Booked but not utilized. What's the status in Singapore and in the major storage hubs of Asia?
Well, from what we understand, they are all full with products. So it's not just book, but they are actually full of products.
And is that, where does the market go now, do you think, that the contango window is closing and becoming, that opportunity is starting to disappear?
That is in the market, but it is not still very visual here. Maybe over time, probably things are moving very quickly. Probably in a couple of weeks, it will soften off. Well, it's what the comment is, that it will be softened. But right this moment, there's still not enough storage, and vessels are still very much in demand, as far as I know.
And what do you think coming out of this period will be the demand for new storage? Rotary Group, one of the largest contractors in the storage building business. What do you think, what are your clients asking of you? What do you think will be the storage you build coming out of this crisis?
I don't think there will be any new builds, because for us, it take at least 18 to 24 months, depending on the size of the terminal they intend to build. Minimum is 18 months on a very quick, on an accelerated schedule. However, the sequence is still the same. So 18 months, maybe it is too long. So right this moment, I don't think that is a good option. Still, a lot of people are very worried about whether it will stay, like what you have just said, that the demand might drop and then the whole thing might change. However, we realize that there are a lot of tank rejuvenation projects. The tanks need to be repaired, and they are, they are accelerating in this area. Rejuvenation, change of products, that means conversion of tanks. Those are shorter term. So these are happening everywhere now.
Conversion of what to what?
For example, like they are black tanks, they're cleaning up, they're doing some repair, changing classes to fit to store other products. So those kind of rejuvenation and conversion of things are going on. You notice, I don't know, Shen, whether you notice that the age of these tanks, of these terminals, are getting quite old in Singapore, even worldwide. The tank can easily last 30, 50 years. So
But the conversion is the big business.
conversion, because there are a lot of old tanks, so conversion is a big business now.
But isn't the case where
Every terminal is doing conversion and repairs.
what is the status now in Singapore with that, given that aren't they looking to the government in Singapore to restrict new licenses and move storage off into Malaysia or into other areas?
That is true, because Singapore, there's a shortage of land, and the government have given down very clear instruction: no more new terminals should be built on new industrial land. So only those land, the permit is given to only those tanks which are associated or related to the expansion projects of new process plants. Then all their tank pump will be approved. For example, like Neste, Chris project, these are the newer projects still going on in Singapore. Those they are allowed to build new tanks, but no more new land for terminal projects.
When you think of the coming out of, given that situation with the new laws and also the coming out of this crisis, will there be more appetite for crude oil storage or for oil product storage tanks, do you think?
That is, like, for example, we know our neighboring country like Pertamina, they are looking for crude tanks whatsoever. But we all know that crude tank for national security storage is not viable anymore unless you combine with trading. Otherwise, you don't have the throughput. That means, and you are paying a few dollars per month for the storage. Is not just viable business. So unless nobody is going to build new tanks for national security reasons.
They're more likely
to
build or to develop underground cavern storage rather than
correct
above ground.
Correct.
Why would you think there isn't an appetite for more building new, given the financial win and the cost of storing and floating tankers is so high? Why would there not be an appetite to build new on-ground storage?
The on-ground storage, as I told you, is it takes time to build. It takes time. For immediate use, it's not possible.
No.
From design stage, especially now coming to that's why sometimes our company, Rotary, is able to get the job easier, faster, because we go in from the beginning and they have to do a feed study or whatsoever. We negotiated on a different mode of negotiation. It's not tendered. Even tender, the scope is very well defined. So when you define the scope, then you can call for tender. For most of my clients, they are going on a negotiation basis. Therefore, is more speedier in getting in commissioning their plants. That is one of the advantage.
When you have
that is possible for 18 months. Otherwise, it will take 36 months.
I suppose you have to make a gamble, a call on the next opportunity. If for the storage companies to build new tanks, when you see demand falling so much, what is the impact of that on your industry?
Right. Most of our clients, they are long-term investors. So they have their own way, they have their off-takers already, and gone to the bank for all the finance. Everything is in place. Therefore, they are willing to go into building new terminals. But for speculation, I think it's very difficult. most of them have their own kinds. I
How
have
would
not
you?
seen built any. We have not built any sport tanks unless it's an extension phase where they build new tanks for sport tanks. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Do you see any difference between the outcome of this period in Asia versus the Middle East? Is there a difference in the impact or opportunity for you and for building new tanks between Singapore and Fujairah, for example? Or
I think Fujairah by itself is geographically is a little bit different because of the political situation, and the surrounding environment. But in Singapore and this part of the world is pretty matured. Unless we are talking about like in Malaysia, for example, no, there are not many new tanks to be built. Singapore is not permitted to build, but probably in Indonesia there is still a building demand, and they are looking at the Riau Islands south of Singapore, where they are opening up all the islands for building all these things because you have surrounding waters. For terminal we need good waters, and very limited actually also for the Riau Island because most of the Riau Island the water are very shallow, so is meant for more the smaller vessel which are carrying finished products or white products rather than crude. For crude tanks, there are only a couple of areas where they are deep water for the VRCC to come in. So very, very limited for crude tanks. But for product tanks, it is an ongoing thing.
in as you say, in and around Singapore, it's a mature infrastructure for energy storage and trading.
Correct.
But in the Gulf and in Fujairah, and even throughout the region, we're still relatively new to the storage and the trading of products and crude in the local market. What opportunity?
Yes,
Rotary was involved in building the first VLCC jetty in Fujairah. What other infrastructure opportunity do you think should be built in order to make the Gulf and to make Fujairah more mature?
I anticipate that more tanks will be built, as you could see, for the political situation. But I think more likely or not, you're just building tanks. Like I said, to build crude tanks, I don't think the returns are very good. So probably Fujairah will have to go into some process plant, refineries or petrochemical plant, where they have better usage and double usage for their tanks. I think that is a more economical approach. I think probably that is the way they are looking at it. And basically it's for export, right? And look at the situation now in, for example, Indonesia, this part of the world. There are smaller refineries and old, smaller refineries, which are not economical to operate. So a lot of them are shut down. Even in Australia, in Europe, refineries are shutting down. And what happened? They need refineries, like for example in the Middle East, where they buy finished products. They're buying trading product rather than crude, because it's refining is not profitable anymore. So they rather close down their refineries and buy products, finished products. This is what the trend I could see that is happening. Therefore, in Singapore and surrounding countries, they will be building smaller tanks, maybe chemicals and product tanks. Whereas in the Middle East, like Fujairah, I think crude tanks and even rock caverns are still very prominent and still a lot of
And
future.
that idea of an integrated value chain is important, you're saying?
Yes, I think so. That's what I envisage.
One of the big drivers of the oil price recently has been obviously many things, but one has been the growing division between China and the United States. That there does appear to be a hardening of positions there. How do you think that plays out, and what impact will it have for the for Singapore and for the regional trading? Do you think? What's the outlook for that? What concerns you about that?
Yeah, I think of course there are two giants, right? Yeah, these two giants are in at even they make love, we die. The grass will die. That's what I always tell our guys: be prepared. Somehow it will hit us to a greater or lesser extent. But for our business, we because of our reputation and our experience, we are not so badly affected for the present moment. I don't know in future if the situation worsen. I think it will be worse. However, there are some spillover that China and US relationship becomes a bit more sour. The investments are coming into Southeast Asia. So we could feel that there are more developments in Vietnam, in Cambodia, a little bit for Thailand, but quite a bit in Myanmar. So we could see that the shift of our projects coming from to the Indo-China area. So we have actually
Like
quite a lot of
away from
activities.
China, it's sort of you're saying the
Away from
investment
China, yes.
away from China.
Yeah, they are pushing away from China and they are developing more projects over there. Once if the factories are set up, they need more energy. And that's how it affects us. The energy level goes up and there are more demand for oil and gas business. So we feel a little bit of spillover effect, which is positive for us.
Just to finish, Roger, obviously we are now coming to the end of May. The first half of this year has been an incredibly turbulent period. How do you see the second half of the year, both from a kind of a economic and commercial point of view, folding?
I think it's going to be very, very challenging. As for Singapore company, somehow the government is giving us a lot of subsidies right this moment. But I could see the bigger impact after COVID-19, after the circuit breakers. I think the government cannot continue to support us. We have to make it on our own. And it's going to be a very challenging time now because the startup is going to be slow. We don't want a comeback of these, circuit breaker or lockdown. So we also have to be very responsible for what we are doing for the nation, for the world, not only just for our company. So we are taking a lot of advice and guidance from the government how to start up properly so that we do not cause any more outbreak in the near future. That's what we are trying to do. So the startup I could see will be very slow.
How do you interpret the recent increase in oil price? It seems the markets are very optimistic.
That surprised me a little bit. I don't know the reason why. I don't understand. The demand is still there. The COVID, nobody is going out. The airline business have gone down. Even I only started my car for once in the past month. So I don't see how the demand is going to, probably speculation.
I mean, you
That's
have
what I
it.
see.
The stock markets as well are getting close back to pre-COVID. There seems to be a lot of optimism in the equity and energy markets at the moment.
I think for me personally, I invest and we lost. Personally, in my family business, I lost a lot of money. I think people are getting sick of it. Why? If you don't correct it, it will further, you'll be weaker and weaker each day. So I think these are the reasons why people are stepping up again to do business. And for whatever
There's
reason.
only so long you can keep a lockdown. I think the patience is running out.
I think that we are talking among ourselves. The COVID-19 will not kill as much people as the economy. People will run out of food. I think that is more dangerous. The 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 the, the weak economy will kill more people than just the COVID. So you can see that you could realize that Rome, Italy, and France are opening up regardless, because which country can continuously support the nation like that? You're eating on your reserve. I think this is a big issue.
Well, you have in the US people receiving checks from the government straight into their pocket. But that is the period we're in. The second half of 2020 is going to be another turbulent ride, one would think.
I think so.
Roger, thank you so
Yes.
much for joining us on Halftime Talk. And we look forward to welcoming you in Fujairah and at some point, hopefully not too far away. But thank you and take care and be safe.
Ciao.
And all of your colleagues at the Rotary Group, hopefully you will have a very profitable recovery in the second half of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.